why United States or why this country and the course. So which means US is no more not welcoming international students, but they want the best of the best talent.
A pause act has been introduced in the Congress. They are intending to stop OPTs altogether.
So a lot of people die because of the negligence, and that happened because of the language barrier.
If you had 20 lakhs, okay, and average grades like above the 60% mark, which country gives you the best life today?
Without a plan, if you go to a particular country, you would not have enough time. And I'll give you a very real example.
What is the immediate red flag that makes a US visa officer reject a student application in the first 10 seconds?
I've connected with today's esteemed guest on Entrepreneur's Arc. It's a platform for founders, freelancers, and professionals to connect, communicate, exchange ideas, and to simply support each other. If you feel like joining such a community, please feel free to click on the link in the description below. Back to the episode.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Building Something pod. Today we have with us Nikhil Jain, who is building Foreign Admits, which is a vertically integrated solutioning that provides end-to-end services for Indians looking to study and settle abroad. Nikhil, welcome to the show.
Thanks, yeah. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. So, all right, let's just jump right into it, right? So, if an Indian student takes a 50 lakh loan today for a master's in the US, does the math still work in terms of how much they'll spend and how much they'll earn back? Or are we selling a dream that doesn't pay back anymore?
I think given the whole AI scenario and the geopolitical shift and the rising costs, I believe 50 lakhs is the bare minimum that they need to take right now for their masters. Because dollar is, in few years, dollars have moved from 75 to 95, right? So I think the best way that we look at it here is what kind of degree are you pursuing, number one, and is your profile academically fitting to that course?
Okay.
Having a bit of work experience have always turned out to be good for United States.
Alright.
Because then you have a bit of corporate experience to tail up and the chances of jobs are naturally better.
Okay.
And it also factors in given the volume of students who have been going there. Because there are too many freshers that has been going there, having a bit of work experience edges others out.
Okay.
At the same time, if you're picking up a degree which has a natural demand in the corporate, which is the skill shortage, like AI or healthcare or probably supply chain, all of those kind of degrees, it gives you a better chance to get a faster employment.
Okay.
With I think in the last 1 or 2 years with the AI, traditionally replacing the traditional CS jobs. While I was been to California last year, I found a very interesting observation that jobs are still there.
Okay.
It's the expectations of the grads to look at $250,000 or $500,000 of pay that is not being met now.
Okay.
Because organizations are no more looking to hire in bulk. They are looking to cut down on the basic, I would say, CS grads. They don't want a traditional CS grad, at the fresher level. They want to come, invest more in the experienced talent.
Okay.
And that has also one cross indicator to look at it, the H1B fare hike, the fee hike of H1B, right?
Yeah.
At a lower level, the lotteries selection have reduced, but for a higher level of pay, the lottery selections have further increased.
Oh.
So which means US is no more not welcoming international students, but they want the best of the best talent.
Okay.
So if someone is having a 50 lakhs or 70 lakhs right now, I would say masters, it's 50 to 70 lakhs is the range that you should be looking at. And you're going to United States, have a plan in mind. What do you want to do? Because you're going to spend 2 years or 1 year and it'll go really quickly. And then you have only 90 days to figure out your OPT, sorry.
Oh.
So I think that without a plan, if you're just going blindly in the hope that there are tons of job, I think you will hit a bit of a roadblock. So, but having a bit of a plan, early networking will really land you up with a far better quality of job in United States.
This actually reminds me, just yesterday I read a pause act has been introduced in the Congress. And under the pause act, they are saying that they are intending to stop OPTs altogether. How badly will this affect the prospects?
So I think the OPT has been in I would say stopping OPT is not a new agenda. It has
Okay.
been there from almost like half a decade now.
Oh.
It is getting its limelight lately a lot, given this whole tension of geopolitics and the country's sovereignty with a massive influx of international students. The locals kind of sometimes feel that the jobs are going to international students. So it has a lot of political agenda to it. Financially, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because if OPTs are not there, why would a student gonna spend $100,000 or probably like $200,000 in undergrad and go to United States?
Exactly.
Because 3 years of optional practical training, which in a way gets them a better employment, and may even extend by H1B or a PR in the longer scheme of the things, that will not happen. And US has been a land of immigrants.
Right.
So even if the act can be passed, I believe it is not a wise thing to do,
Right.
because US economy has been largely contributed by international students. But at the same time, there would be certain strict measures that we could expect to reduce the bad quality of influx of international students. And when I say bad, it's not the students, it's a lack of intent to take an education there, but a more intent towards a straight immigration in the name of education.
Okay. Okay. But even in this case, what I have seen is, at least as far as most Asians are concerned, Southeast Asians or Asians in general who go abroad, they have to sort of come from wealthy families, because, like we discussed, right? If you need 50 to 70 lakhs worth of cash, you have to have that kind of either bank balance or your bank credibility to fund that. Which means these are already refined people. And second is, because they are refined, they're not going to be there not contributing to the economy, right? They are working, they're hardworking, they are known to be hardworking. They are Data shows that they are tend to be extremely less violent. They are not a part of general crime statistics on in a meaningful manner. So the question really is, are they giving more value to the economy than they are supposedly taking out? And I don't think that is the case, because they're going to be paying the US education system heavily upfront. Like $100,000 is not something even an average American can afford at this point, right? With an average salary being between 40 and 60K a year, even that's not really happening. So I really fail to understand what this whole hullabaloo is about. You have rich kids paying you to study, and then staying back, and again paying your economy with taxes, with hard work, and maintaining an overall safe environment from their side at least.
Look, on a realistic ground, it's not fully true. On a macro level, yes, it is. One of the fact that I can always confirm on this, that yes, international students pay at least 3 to 5 times that of a domestic student. So yes, the higher education as a market or an industry can collapse if international student reduces. We have seen similar effects in UK, where universities had to shut down or merge with the university, right? It's the same that we'll see, and we are seeing already in US also, right? The alt campuses or the multiple campuses shutting down courses or consolidating that, the layoffs among the staffs, the professors are being laid off. The first thing that we need to understand is international students do contribute largely to a US economy or to any country economy where the influx of international students is high. On the other hand, the whole job creation is currently being impacted because of the whole AI wave.
Right.
The large recession has come in, okay, along with the realization among the locals that their jobs are being currently taken away has hit a peak.
Right.
Is it not true 10 years before? Yes. And it's not about local versus an immigrant, it's about a capable talent. At the end of the day, companies value a capable talent, which international students had proven to be really, really good.
Right.
But there is still a good quantity of immigration that has happened on wrong dreams sold to the students.
Okay.
Students going to United States to certain universities with no English proficiency. You are going to an English proficiency oriented country, and where you can't even write English or speak English properly. Imagine how would you be able to integrate yourself in a workplace like that.
Right.
The cultural integration is missing. We see almost probably on a very regular basis how some of the international students being held or caught doing certain things
Yes.
which is not approved there. Because we need to understand we are in some foreign land, right, in a different culture, and it's their land, it's their culture. We are an immigrant there. We got to respect that. While we hold certain rights as an immigrant, but at the same time the cultural integration is something that is still not well taught.
Right.
And take an example, US might still be a better regulated as a country still, but take an example for Canada or UK in that sense. A class full of 40 students coming from the same state of India, how is that a diversity?
Right.
We all been sold international education because you will get a diverse crowd, you get to learn. But if you see from a batch of 40 students, 35 are Indians, it's basically you're studying in an Indian university with 5 foreigners.
Correct.
Right? So a lot of these factors, are jeopardizing the entire international education outlook, and filling up students in international education just for the sake of degree is also there.
Right.
That is hampering the good quality of influx of immigrants because the volume is so much that it just, the system is not yet fully designed to handle that much of influx of international students.
Got it.
And time to time, and this is not something new, we have seen more like a sinusoidal curve. With every destination, it goes up, it invites more students, and then the influx increases. So the job versus job seekers, there's an imbalance that gets created.
Right.
Then they reduce the international students, focus on job creations, focus on development so that the jobs can be more, and then the international student comes in. The only mismanaged area that I see is certain skills are overloaded and certain skills has a very high deficit. Take an example for healthcare.
Okay.
Right? In United States healthcare, it's not very easy that you can just walk into any GPs and take an appointment and go there like in India, right?
Yeah.
The staff shortage is so high, and that too, then the policies are not yet developed to invite a lot of immigrants in the healthcare.
Okay.
So that means there is a natural demand for healthcare workers in every part of the world, frankly, not just United States, right? So if we are able to build talent in healthcare and be able to send there, I believe most of the countries will welcome that way. So matter of fact, OPT, killing an OPT can lead much adverse effect.
Oh.
Because if healthcare workers are not there, if the basic employment in certain aspects of the functions of society is not there, how would any society gonna run?
Right.
The best of the best doctors are Indians in that way.
And so when you say healthcare workers, right? To me, it always felt like, okay, you're talking about doctors, but I understand that healthcare workers is a very wide definition, and Indians probably don't know that you don't need to just be a doctor. So can you just tell us more about that?
Absolutely. The healthcare ecosystem requires a diverse set of skills. And yes, what you said is absolutely right, that you don't need to be a doctor only to fit into a US or any other healthcare ecosystem. The nurses are the most the most shortage of healthcare workers in the nursing.
Oh.
And that too for elderly care.
Is it?
Because elderly population, the countries like Germany and all, where the elderly population is there, similar with US, the nurses are needed. Right? Their ecosystem is very different to ours ecosystem. Right? You need their healthcare workers.
Right.
Usually, most of the US healthcare workers that what I've seen has as an influx from Southeast Asia or Africa.
Right.
Most of the Africans and Southeast Asians go there and join healthcare workers. And that has been still more of a shortage given the demand is so big. So you don't need to be a doctor. Nurses is there, paramedics is there, then different functions in a hospital. If you look at it, radiologists and many other professions in healthcare. Those are the things that is still on a very high shortage.
So people who run X-ray rooms, MRI rooms, hospital administrators, even I've heard things about So there are these hospital management softwares. Even there is like a specialized requirement of people who work on the IT side of those
Absolutely.
parts as well.
You would see a lot of Indian startups lately, coming into limelight, because they're building better AI-powered solutions, which helps doctors, which helps the patients. I remember I saw a video where, because of the language barrier, that a lot of people in United States don't speak fluent English or don't understand English very well. So a lot of people die because of the negligence, and that happened because of the language barrier. So there's a company who built a natural quick translation with medical technologies and understanding a tailor-made solution which
Okay.
you need in a hospital.
Got it.
So healthcare is also linked to insurance, by the way. The
Right.
whole insurance industry of US is what now we are seeing in India also, correct?
Yeah.
So getting proper assistance for getting your claims, getting underwriting done properly, protecting your own rights in the healthcare things, understanding the cost, reducing the cost, making healthcare accessible. US is known for its most expensive healthcare,
Healthcare, yeah.
correct? That's why medical tourism in industry in India
Is
is one of the
booming.
largest one, correct? So I think US has a lot to catch up, or not even US particularly, but US, UK, Australia, these are the countries which are very, very like experiencing a high deficit of healthcare workers. And post COVID, people have seen the reality of that deficit.
Got it.
So India can be a forefront leader in exporting talented manpower to these countries. It's about the receptiveness of the country and their own policies that they have to figure out to be able to invite Indians. And naturally, and this is probably a personal observation, Indians are not the people that I've seen who go out, engage in anything which disrupt the social fabric or the political fabric of the community there. We usually focus on getting jobs, getting employment, becoming a good integrated citizen. Definitely cultural integration is certainly a debatable topic, where we still need to learn about how to intermix in their culture and how to help them also to retain and preserve their culture so that diversity can coexist.
Got it. I understand this, and I've seen that the study abroad market is sort of like full of sharks. There are fake promises, there are fraudulent structural, scams running. What is the single biggest lie that traditional agents tell Indian parents just so that they could pocket, a little cash?
I think the misalignment of expectations is what I see is the major lie. What most of the students have been told, go to this destination, go to that destination, and you'll get a job. In the international education, you don't have placement cells or communities. You got to figure out your own employment. Most of the international education trains you to become employable, and then you have to figure out your own employment. What most of the parents or the kids have been told for, international education is damn easy and accessible. Though there is a cost to it, but you can easily get a loan, and there are too many jobs. Employers are going to welcome you with both hands, and there's too much of talent shortage. In bits and pieces, they are true, but if you connect all the things in a whole, not everything is true. Students and parents definitely need to do a bit of fact check, a bit of search, bit of probably conversations with the people who are there, who have
Already
been
there,
there. Just open up and have that conversation, and they'll go beyond the narrative-driven study abroad market.
Got it. So you built Visa Monk to use AI for interview prep, right? So it always comes to mind, like, can AI actually predict if a human visa officer will reject me, and how close is it to reality?
Actually, if I have to be honest, like 3-4 years before, I never thought that I need to build something of like Visa Monk. For me, it was very simple. Like, why would a student visa gonna get rejected? They're going, right? They've done all the things properly. Why would they gonna be rejected? They're going for study purposes, right? But it's an inefficiency in the system that has been highlighted to the fore, and to that gravity that let's say for US, the Indian market operates at a 50% or less efficiency, which means If 100 students have gotten their offer letter, paid the deposit, got everything done, and just going for the interview, only 50 will clear off.
Is it?
Yeah. And this is less than 25% of the people who apply to these universities. So if 100 have applied, less than 25 will actually make it past visa. So the efficiency is so low, and it has the system and our own issues which needs to be resolved. When we built Visa Monk, it was actually a data insight from our lending vertical, where we realized a lot of students were taking loans but not actually using them.
Right.
Then we
They're getting it
spoke to the
approved.
students. Correct. So I think when we spoke to the students, we realized their visa got rejected. I was like, why a visa got rejected?
Right.
The major issues that we found in a market like India, where information barrier is too much, rumors are too many, and lack of training of the counselors and agents also hampers it. And it's not just about a bad university or a low rank university students getting a visa reject. I have seen even the Ivies and the top 50 rank university students also getting the reject for some of the silliest reason.
Okay.
So the way that we designed Visa Monk, we wanted to mimic the exact environment in which a student actually goes. And before to do that, I myself applied for a US visa so that I could experience it.
Right.
Because what I felt, it is more of an experience issue
Right.
and a prep temperament issue, which we wanted to solve. And when we launched this in 2023, we tried with all the students who got a visa reject.
Okay.
So that the pain was high, and if you're able to solve that, it could really be something meaningful. And what we got as a feedback, blew our minds. Like students were saying, we have been always given PDFs to mug answers from. I've seen some YouTuber videos, and basis on that I prepared. My counselor took some mock interviews, but he himself doesn't know it because he have never been to US. So even if we have done a one-to-one human preparation, the challenge was measurement. Because when you're speaking in front of an embassy officer, their job is to figure out a lack of intent or an issue and reject you.
Right.
They would not be doing their justice to the job if they select a wrong immigrant. So their job is to figure out mistakes. Your job is to ensure that you are able to showcase your profile as a genuine profile if the reasons are genuine, and you are prepared and you have a clarity.
Right.
What most of the students ideally failed in understanding and showcasing their finances, understanding and showcasing their academic and decision readiness, that why they have chosen United States, a particular course, a particular university, basis on the relatability of their background. And one of the most important thing is, what after that course? What do you want to do in your life or career? And is this kind of a course going to help you pay back whatever debt that you have taken in loan? Right? And do you have relatives in the US? Is there an intent to stay in US as an immigrant, and despite you coming for the purpose of education?
Okay.
So I think these are the major things, and compiling all of those, two factors: you should have been proficient in communication in English, and the confidence has to be there. Right. So all of these few things only, which are fundamentals of making a quality of communication with proper intent, is what Visa Monk has solved. And the results are fantastic. Like, we have been used by, out of top 20 universities in the world, 5 of them already are using Visa Monk, which gave a great validation to the product. Our outcomes are at least 100% better than the average outcomes in the entire market. So our visa success rates have shot through the roof, like 94%, with the market operate at less than 50-60%. So student advocacy is one thing that has helped us to grow. We're still organic on that note, and we want to remain organic because I want the product to prove for itself.
Correct. So that makes sense, right? Because nowadays we see students graduating from top UK and US universities also. They're coming back to India sort of empty-handed, right? So what is the number one mistake that they make during their degrees that left them sort of jobless in that sense, at least in the US and UK market?
Lack of planning. They all go unplanned like herds of sheep and goats. because some agent told, because their friends are going, because some parents have told, or the parents' relatives have told, and they just picked up a course which is look trending without understanding the course. And what they do is then struggle there in the academics. They don't spend enough time in networking with the recruiters, networking with the alumni, don't spend time in understanding how much of job readiness they're going to be in the course. So I think it's a quick rush, given you spend only a year or two in the entire education timeline. If you're going for postgrad, if you're going for undergrad, you still have 4 years.
Okay.
So without a plan, if you go to a particular country, you would not have enough time. And I'll give you a very real example. UK degrees are usually lasting for a year or 18 months at max,
Yes.
right? And the moment you land there, you have to first settle down, figure out your accommodations, figure out your meal plans, figure out all the formalities of the university.
Travels, transportation.
Correct. A lot of these things takes a month also to figure out.
Right.
And if you didn't get an apartment timely, if the apartment is far away, figure out transportations, all of those things. And on top of that, you've already started your course.
Correct.
The academic pattern is totally different to what you've studied in India. It's more hands-on, assignment driven, and there is no plagiarism or all of those things that you have seen in certain parts in India also.
Reusing
Yes.
past seniors' projects.
Correct. You got to be genuine in that.
Right.
And that comes with a lot of efforts.
Uh-huh.
Once you're busy with those efforts, then you miss out on college activities, you miss out on becoming a part of the college clubs.
Right.
If you spend too much time there, your grades get affected. Grades are important. And oftentimes what I've seen, that student picked up a course, but they never liked it.
Okay.
So that being one of the most high demotivation factor. They would have done the same mistake that they did it in India. It's just that the cost of the mistake has gone up by 10 times now. So, and then not having a diverse community of friends is one of the most, it's a significant barrier that I've seen, because they are working in a foreign country. If they don't intermix with their culture, the people there, they would never learn the ways of networking or socializing there, which is one of the major factors of employment. Referrals still always being the leading source of employment. Second is LinkedIn and coffee chats. And the third is the brutal way of applying, which is mass applications to the job sites, right? And certainly you don't want to be in that race.
I have actually seen this happen a lot, where all of a sudden Indians who go abroad, they just start loving other Indians so much, and they are celebrating Diwali and all of the festivals even more strongly, even more consistently than they used to do back home. And I never realized that not one picture would they have the locals as a part of their group. It's always only an Indian only group. And I always felt, boss, if you've gone to a foreign land, how could you not have any local friends whatsoever? Where one sort of criticism to that came to me is that, boss, they are also not very welcoming. They are not very inclusive at times. To which I felt, maybe at the very least, what we can do is, from our end, we can keep trying to integrate. Because I don't think it falls on their shoulders to proactively include you in. It sort of falls on you to sort of imbibe your culture also with them, so that there is an openness involved, right?
Correct. It is also visible in India also, right? India is a land, what I see is India is a big continent with so many micro countries, from north to south, and many.
It's like Europe in a sense, I feel.
Correct. Absolutely. So what I was being given the advice when I was, when I went to Australia, I went to Singapore, I went to Europe, Portugal, China, where communication becomes a very big factor, to break. The major thing that at least these students should realize is they're going to an English-speaking country largely. Even if they're not going to an English-speaking country or a foreign country, you are a guest in the first place, right? You've been to their country, right? You got to learn a bit about their ways of living, their culture. They are open and welcoming if you are also keen to explore. If you have that keenness to explore, then they would be also welcoming to you. And at the same time, the challenge that I see, with a certain segment of international students, they become so homesick or they have not been culturally trained. And certain times it's no fault of their own.
Absolutely.
They have never been trained to live outside home with a different culture of people, and they've never been made to realize that openness to explore new things is not actually bad. Having a foreign friend either considered to be a status quo thing, that you have a lot of foreigner friends, or it's considered to be an outlier.
Or a betrayal sort of that.
Correct.
Oh, now that you have found a Gora, you are forgetting our Indian roots.
Correct. So I think what I've learned, and this is my own experience when I've been to Australia during my PhD or before that, meeting and knowing different people in cultures. Like I remember a time when I had a group where an Estonian, an Iranian, a girl from Zimbabwe, a girl from Spain, a guy from Ethiopia, all were part of it. And there's so much to learn about each other cultures.
Right.
Then when you land up in some of these countries, you're already familiar with them.
Correct.
And the moment the other person sees that you're familiar with the culture, the openness to interact comes.
Correct.
You can't go and try and convert them who have been raised up in their culture to your culture.
Right.
You got to learn a middle ground to make them also learn about your culture, but at the same time you have to start with that gesture that you are keen to talk to them, you are keen to meet them, and in those times you get to learn about what qualities do they bring which you don't have, which is the thing that you need to learn. Let's say Germans bring the discipline in time.
Yes.
I learned about Irish that their productivity per hour is the highest in the world. They are highly hyper focused and productive in their times, right? The Italians are very creative in their nature. The Chinese are very, very hardworking. So every culture, every country has its own culture, right? When they are also open to learn, you got to be also open to learn.
Right.
And when you do that, you become naturally really good friends.
Right.
You're able to build relationships in a positive way in a professional environment, and that opens up your employment prospects.
Correct. And I think one of the things that people need to realize is the fact that you are looking to go outside of your country into any other country to learn and read, and the goal is not actually to earn money. The earning money and the money being more than what you earn in India is just a byproduct. If you're going to go to any other country, it is a fact that you have to you're going there to adjust into something new. It's like me coming to your home as a guest and expecting you to behave the way I want you to behave, right? That expectation mismatch is something that people need to understand at the core. And I feel that is sort of a huge part of why people face this.
Absolutely. The people who come back usually, because I have had the opportunity to even hire international graduates in my company, and a lot of my friends or friends of friends have been international graduates who have come back. It's not always a failure story.
Right.
India is growing as an economy. India had been at the forefront from almost like half a decade or more in the fintech revolution. We have one of the best affordable healthcares. So, and India is a land of problems, which means there's a land of opportunities. So the people who are able to see that, they're coming back and solve it. Even the companies that you would have seen, the phone pays and all who have registered in Singapore, reverse flipped in India, because they see the economy being growing, the Indian public markets have been growing, and we have seen a lot of IPOs coming in the market, right?
Yes.
So for international students to look at it, coming back to India is never a failure. Provided you are able to figure out what you want to do. That's the thing. That's what I said.
That focus always says that you need to know what you want, whether it be abroad or in India, going or coming back.
Jobs are everywhere. Employment is everywhere. Quality of life can be a debatable factor. In foreign countries, you don't have house help, which NRIs always crib about. In India, you have a luxury of a house help. And we have almost like $1 million startups making house help more accessible and affordable, right? So every country comes with its own plus and minuses, right? And it's your optics. How do you see it? Living in United States can be a life like living in Mumbai. right? It's a fast-paced environment. People are very professional, to the point, and US is known for its professionalism. They are very business-focused, opportunist in that way. On the other hand, Europeans are very culturally deep-rooted. They focus on the culture, they focus on people, they focus on work-life balance more, So you go, and again, the pace will also vary that way. If you're going to Europe, the pace would be around 40 to 60,000 euros. Similar kind of role in US can be around 60 to $100,000. So things could vary a bit. It's about how you want, what you wanted, and what you are okay letting go of. That's a trade balance that you have to make in choosing it. So even if you're not able to find a job in the United States, you can always figure out a job in Europe, or you can come back to India, build in India. Government has given a lot of merits now to the startup ecosystem, or the higher education ecosystem, where we have a deficit of talented professors, right? So I think there's a lot to be done, at least from an international student point of view. You just don't have to be feeling left out in the herd race. Even if you're left out, you can make yourself a better outlier in that way.
Absolutely. So, does the profile building part in the whole system actually matter, or is it just a fancy way of charging rich kids for like unnecessary certificates? And what's that one thing on a CV that admission officers actually care about the most?
In a simplified word, is your resume karma? Whatever you write on your resume, which has authenticity and originality to it, correct? People have termed different vocabulary, and what I remember from a very decorated founder, that in this generation we got a lot of vocabulary built for ourselves, and we stick to those new vocabs. Profile building is one of those, nothing new. And if you look at the profile building, it's basically at a high school level what you can do, secondary school level what you can do, in the college level what you are supposed to do. If you're doing the things which you're supposed to do to the goal that you want to go, that is the most realistic way to build your profile. Yes, avenues have opened up, new things and opportunities have opened up. In our days, writing a research paper at a high school level was not accessible, or people were aware, or even not there also. At these days, kids are getting exposed to technology, internet being the easier penetrator to the information, and AI amplified it. So kids can do a lot of things, with an internet and probably good IQ and just a bit of reading skills. So profile building has become more accessible. Now, charging for it or not is a very perspective oriented, what I call, it's a Indian Hindi term. In a food, you add salt basis on your appetite of taste, right? What's your taste bud like? In the resume, you put an effort basis on your appetite of budget and effort. You can go for a fancy summer school in UK or US and pay maybe $5,000 in dollars or pounds and get a good international exposure. Probably have a better early access to information, peer network and all. At the same time, you can do certain courses online and build projects and probably commercialize them or put to some good use, do some NGO thing, run your own podcast. So right now, what I see profile building means how much of a problem solver or self-starter you are.
Okay.
Right? What have you done? If you have a goal in mind, what have you done to become qualified or move yourself closer to achieving that goal?
Okay.
Right? You want to become a researcher, definitely academics is the thing. Then research areas or reading is a very key thing. You want to become a sports person, definitely playing sports is the thing. If you want to become a marketer, learning about marketing strategies, doing certain execution in marketing is the thing. If you're a coder, having a good GitHub profile, contributing to public open sources is a good thing. So a lot of these things are there.
Right.
Certain organizations have been built because people have gotten too lazy to do by themselves. So there is a bit of a, I would say, human psychological push, and it's like a gym membership. If you pay, you somewhere become morally more conscious that you paid for it, so better make use of it. But I don't think profile building as a industry has penetrated even up 1% of the Indian kids yet. It's just the top 1% who look at it. The remaining 99% just look at resume building and try to do what they are supposed to do, just to be, I would say, competent in their career. And in that, the challenge has been lack of awareness among the peers, among the society, among the locality, and sometimes that leads to even lack of motivation also to do it. And with AI and with digital things penetrating, information awareness is also growing. So we see creator economy booming from different parts of the world. We see vibe coding giving wings to the people who are thinkers and better creators. They are able to build products. So things will change. It's just that we are at the very start of a change right now.
So everyone is scared of the H1B lottery, right? So is there like a backdoor or a smarter route for settling abroad that most Indians completely ignore?
I think the way that we have looked into immigration is the study being the easiest route to immigration.
Right.
Okay. H1B is getting tighter and tighter because of a lot of loopholes that has been abused by a lot of large IT companies from India.
Right.
Okay. And that is what US is trying to do, because it's a catch-up game.
Yes.
The US immigration is catching up to whatever loopholes that they are found and being exploited. There are still ways where, if you are able to make a better salary, if your talents are pretty much demonstrable, then H1B is good. O1 is a greater visa which is coming up, where if you are able to demonstrate that with your skills, talent and efforts and probably the resume that you have built, right, to the US economy, and you have valuable talent to the US economy, O1 is a great visa route. Similarly, France or Europe has launched tech visas for techies, entrepreneur professionals in that way. So every country invites talented professionals. Similarly, US H1B has just raised its bar now because they see less talented professionals coming to US, and they want to increase on the quality of talent that they attract, because that's what make a destination also more attractive.
They're basically raising their bar just to sort of attain their internal goals, be it political or otherwise.
Correct.
Got it. So we've seen that banks reject student loans all the time. Okay, what is the one sort of secret financial metric that they look at that students never fix before applying?
I think the credit profile of them or their parents is what has been most underlooked factor.
So you're talking about the credit score?
Not just the score. Look, a credit score of yours and mine can be same, but profile is different, which means your entire credit history. So defaulting on the loans, delay in the repayment of the EMIs, be it a personal loan or a home loan or a car loan, or even if you have taken a BNPL scheme, buy now pay later scheme, and you're not timely paid back.
This
affects your
EMIs.
This affects your credit history.
Okay.
And I've seen good kids with either their credit history being impacted or their parents' credit history predominantly being impacted. So credit history is something India's financial literacy is yet to catch up with. And this has nothing to do with academics. Even you got an average grades or a lower grade, not very, very low. So because loan is essentially dependent on 3 or 4 factors. One is profile, which means your academic profile, 10th, 12th, undergraduate scores has to be at least above 60% to qualify to unsecured lending, which is the most prominent lending, where collateral is not put in, with property and all this, nothing needed. The next one is your target destination and course, which is quality of university and the quality of course. Usually lenders prefer STEM course, which means the course which has a better employment prospects. So if a lender is funding a course, it's a direct signal the employment prospects has been seen. The third thing is the co-applicant or the co-guarantor or the co-signer. Either of the terms are true for that, which means their financial source proof of income. And the major mistakes that I've seen is either the credit history is bad, or Indians don't file ITRs on time. So ITRs is nowhere there, or they file very low ITRs and then they expect higher loan amount. So these are the things that has been overlooked, which cripples especially the UGs and the MBA loans, which are high quantum loan. And one of the most academically underlooked point is if they don't have even a financial co-signer. Because if they don't have a financial co-signer, technically none of the Indian lenders will ever touch their case.
Got it.
Then you are left with one or two foreign lenders who can get you a loan only for postgraduate courses, no undergraduate, and for a handful of 400 to 600 universities only. Which means in those cases, if you have identified early on that you don't have a co-signer, knowing which universities can get you lending and is there a course for that makes a lot of sense to ensure that in the last minute you don't drop out after getting an offer because no loan was available.
Got it. Now, at the same time, let's say you have, if you had 20 lakhs, okay, and average grades like above the 60% mark, which country gives you the best life today? Germany, Ireland, UK, or anything else?
I think the question could be better structured as like, I'll take two assumptions here. If you have really, really good this thing, you can definitely apply for good scholarships.
Right.
But let's say scholarships is not a case for you as of now. Maybe you're getting not full scholarship, but some scholarship.
Average grade 65,
Yes.
70%.
So in that case, I would recommend exploring Europe and UAE and Southeast Asia.
Okay.
These are one of the growing economies and stable economies with a good demand for international talents. And the cost of education is also not that very high. If you look at Italy, all the public universities and all, they rather pay you. The tuition fees is hardly like 3 to 7 lakhs a year. In Germany also, the public universities, the tuition fees is 2 to 5 lakhs a year in general. Even at a private universities, for doing a master's, you're going to spend around 10 to 15 lakhs a year. So that's something you can easily manage, and you can do the part-time jobs to fulfill your living expenses to some extent. Studying in UAE going to cost you somewhere around 10 to 20 lakhs a year. So that way, these are the destinations that you should be picking up, not just because they are cheap or affordable, but the ROI is also there.
Got it.
Which means the job options are also there.
So these Italian universities that you mentioned that pay you, any names you could give out?
La Sapienza, University of Rome, all the public universities in Italy subsidize your education if your financial conditions is not good enough. So there's a
Padua
process to it.
Padua.
Yes, University of Padua. That's one of the very popular public universities. We have sent a lot of kids there. The tuition fees is hardly like 3 lakhs per year.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's a very good public university in that way.
But have they gotten jobs after it, or does that education allow you to stay back and look for jobs?
It's the same like every other university. You get a 18 months of post-study work visa. The cost of education is low, which means you can invest whatever you have left in probably traveling, meeting recruiters, going beyond Italy. Europe is anyway very small, interconnected. So people who don't get a direct job in Italy, not every profession, Italy can give you that way, but then you can go to Luxembourg, which has a very good talent demand. You can always go to Germany that way. You can go to Sweden, France,
Netherlands.
Spain, Netherlands. So that way, Europe has a very good mobility option.
Absolutely.
And if you see the recent news about the India and the EU trade deal, where the mobility will become digital and seamless, this will create more democratization and accessibility of employment for Indians especially.
That's great news, and I think Indians should start definitely looking at Europe. I would just hope that they start looking at the cultural side of it as well.
Absolutely.
Because having interacted with Europeans, I understand they put culture and humans and humanity above a lot of things. And we as Indians need to sort of rewire ourselves, have respect for the way they live their life first, and then start looking at these things, because I think they are otherwise very welcoming. If you
Absolutely.
give that.
Learning a language always helps in countries like Europe or Japan or China, because they are not an English speaking country in the first place, and they are proud to be that. They are not ashamed that they don't speak English properly, right? That's a
don't
major
care.
cultural change, correct? And most important, in that way, knowing their culture helps.
Right.
Their interaction is very strong. And they focus on sometimes more on the work-life balance also.
True.
That's why you see in Sweden the 4-day week rule. And their focus at work is also very, very important. they are very, very high productive in their work. So that focus thing also, I think a lot of Indians should learn.
Should learn about. Yeah. So, what is the immediate red flag that makes a US visa officer reject your application, reject a student application in the first 10 seconds?
Confidence and your reasoning, like why US. If you're not able to, because usually the first question that I've seen from a data of 250,000 interviews that we have analyzed before building VisaMonk, why United States, or why this country and the course, why do you want to come? That reasoning is where most of the students fail. It has transitioned from US is a great country, this is a great course, to probably I want to do this. So that reasoning is not very well thought of.
Okay.
And sometimes it's natural, because certain courses may not give you an upfront clarity, but you need to have a goal plan at least. But most of the times it overly orchestrated reasoning.
For example?
So let's say I remember this kid, so kid wanted to study bachelor's in AI particularly, and you want to come back and join father's business. Father's business was into architecture. So he was a civil contractor essentially, right? And when he tried to connect these dots, these are two far ends of it.
True.
And you can't be just saying that I'm going to digitize my father's business by learning AI.
Right.
What is it that you're going to digitize about, right? Whether and how long your father has been, 20 years, what are you going to do about it? So a lot of times the answers doesn't make sense.
Got it.
These are just forced fitting that the kids do, thanks to some bad recommendations
Bad
from some
coaching.
random community or some untrained counselors. So those are the things that the visa officers just quickly pick it up. They are not there to select you in the first place.
Right.
They are there to understand whether you fit in and you have the right intent or not, which means their first thing is to find the red flag and reject you.
So does it help to assume that they are there to reject you? They are technically not. They are there to vet. But is it fair to assume that they are there to reject you and then operate from the point of view that what would make them get you from the standpoint that you add value to their country first?
Absolutely. They will be doing a grave mistake if they let a wrong immigrant in.
Correct.
So their metrics are set on that.
Yeah.
They do want to listen, and they are not asking for a well-defined, highly structured purpose.
Right.
You're just a kid.
Yeah.
Right? If you overdo, they'll smell. If you underdo, also smell. You got to be very natural in your responses, which is why VisaMonk ensures that it creates an environment to make you speak freely and naturally, and at the same time gives you more feedbacks.
Got it. And that realistic practice helps you to be okay with that environment. Just being comfortable with an environment dramatically increases your output just because you're used to something.
Absolutely.
So the US has recently proposed like this $100,000 petition fee for the H-1B visas, right? So does that make the American dream dead officially?
No, not at all. There has been a lot of misinterpretation about the H-1B on the media. Thanks to our, I would say, limited attention span, that we don't process a lot of information better. But H-1B fee is not applicable for F1 essentially.
Okay.
The fee is essentially designed to cut down on the loopholes of bringing in people directly for jobs from outside, stating to be a high talent employee where they are actually not.
Okay.
So those are the areas that students are not affected.
Got it.
3 years if they work, use their OPT, and then they become a high talent employee, they'll naturally get this thing H-1B. That still goes with the lottery system. However, the lottery system doesn't support a lot of low skilled or low paid worker. They rather focus more on the high paid worker. That is one of the things that student has to look out when they're choosing a degree and a university or a location, understanding the ROI, understanding the job prospects. Those are the things that they're going to plan for. And that's why planning is very, very critical.
Got it. So you would rather spend more money, more time prepping here than spending 10x of that just to know that you shouldn't have done it in the first place, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing that we saw in sports, right? Sweat more in the nets so that you don't bleed in
Correct.
the fields, right?
So how can a student use Career Finder to build a profile that commands these high salary jobs right right out of graduation so that they can there's a chance that they can get that H1B?
Okay, so the Career Finder essentially was I would say, one of our dream projects to help the Indian kids, or rather any kid anywhere in the world who wants to upskill themselves or figure out a career path where they were felt clueless earlier.
Okay.
Because most of the kids that I see in India, and it's not just India, it's even Africa and many other places in the world, even United States in that way, the kids, what they do, they are usually not picking up the career with their own interests.
Okay.
They usually follow a trend or a peer or maybe some ads or sometimes some paid counselings and all. They don't relate to their careers.
Oh.
And one of the things that we learned in our life, if you're passionate about something, no matter you will be bad initially, that's a phase, but you will overcome that.
Correct.
Because of the consistency and perseverance, and you're able to build a skill out of it.
Right.
So you got to understand which career option to pursue, because each of the career option takes at least 3 to 5 years of your lifetime, right?
True. Just to get baseline good at something.
Correct. And you can't be switching that every nick of the time. You got to spend some time in the career. And once you've identified, which is what the first phase of the Career Finder, it helps you identify basis on your personality, basis on your demography, basis on your financial readiness, the capability, the skill competence that you currently hold, and the level of education that you're currently held. So it's a multi-dimensional analysis. And then it gives you what are the options that you can see in your career, even if you want to study in India or if you want to go abroad, whatever the knack that you have, what are the career options that you can get?
Correct.
You can understand those career options. And then once you figure out, okay, I want to become a blockchain developer or I want to become a computational biologist. That's a very different kind of a biology with data science.
Don't even know what it means.
Correct. Even I was not aware, sorry. So then what do you want to do? Because time is very limited and effort is also limited, and so is the capital for a lot of students, right? So we wanted to make the best possible recommendations. Okay, you're in first year, what are the subjects that you need to focus in your academics? What are the skill sets that you need to learn beyond academics? What are the soft skills that you need to learn? What kind of certifications you need to do? What kind of projects that you need to work upon? Indian kids, what I've seen, they always crib about, I am not getting an opportunity, no one is giving me internships, I don't have any projects on my resume, all I have is the copybook style projects that I find out in GitHub and I replicated it. That's not true now.
Right.
Stop lying, staying behind the excuse. You got AI to back you up, right? You can build things quickly. You can, whatever the course you have learned, can you replicate a project on it or pass a quiz on it naturally? And you can showcase whatever the course you have learned. Can you make a podcast on it? Can you teach other people about it?
Absolutely.
So I think this is proof of work and proof of learning. That is what we have deeply inculcated in Career Finder. And what I've seen, the computational biologist, one of the examples that I saw from a girl from I would say tier 3 or a tier 4 college of Bombay, was doing computer science, never interested in that, did average, but had a knack towards biology. She spent almost a couple of years in Career Finder from third, fourth year, and she ended up in Georgia Tech doing a master's, got I would say close to a $200K $1,000 job there, and is living a fulfilling career, which is self-satisfying also. That's
Correct.
the most important thing.
Absolutely. No, I think it's probably the most important thing that you need to do before looking at not just foreign education, but even Indian higher education for that matter. Okay. So one of the things I love about how you're building your companies is you have unbundled the entire study abroad journey into separate platforms, right? There is loans, there is shortlisting, there's visa prep. But why did you do that? Like, what is so fundamentally broken about the way Indians currently apply to foreign universities for education?
Okay, when you look at study abroad as a journey, it has multiple stages: discovery of careers, preparing yourself, which is an application journey, admission journey, where you make all the documentations and all, financing, and visas. These are the major milestone checkpoints.
Okay.
When we looked at study abroad, most of the industry were overly focused on finding out the admissions, but majority of them missed out the finances and the last piece, which was the visas. And it was attributed to our understanding where these operations were working in silos, which means prior to foreign admits loan tool invention, everyone used to explore education loan after getting an offer letter.
Right.
By the time you get an offer letter and you go for the loan, all other options are gone.
Correct.
And 3 out of 10 students from our database that we figured out across 75,000 students, 3 out of 10 students drop out because the kind of university, course, destination that they got the admit for, there is no lender for it. There's no lending policy for it. Or the loan amount is lesser than what they want, which will lead to a dropout.
Right.
Which means out of 10 students who got an offer, from the 100 students who have applied, 7 are only left. And the 7, when they go for the US visas and all, 3 or 4 will go. So out of 100 students, 3 to 5 students actually end up studying abroad.
So
this is
essentially, this is like a 50% drop of eligible people just because they didn't plan it well ahead. So you have ensured that you're building a vertical stack in such a way that you start with the due diligence first and then go ahead with the sort of point of no return, so to speak. That's good. So this might be helping parents a lot, I'm thinking, right? Because parents in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they're often guided by local agents, right? And they tend to push these obscure colleges and like sort of not known universities just because their commissions are high on them. So how does My Dream University break that cycle, so to speak? And how do you ensure that your algorithm isn't acting in a biased way?
very good question. Look, we believe that a good can win over the bad by increasing the amount of good that we can do.
Okay.
Which our platform not only support the students but also the counseling practitioners and parents to help them discover from the source information in a purely neutral way. It is what it is. The only way that we differentiate here is gathering that much of information, processing it and showcasing in a way that it helps the student take a decision is what matters. And then our insights about financial eligibility, our insights about scholarships, cost of education, cost of living, potential job prospects from various sources that our AI pulls, it gives enough data points for anyone to first assess, find their eligibility fitment, and see what potential prospect colleges or courses that you can study, regardless of commissions and any of the factors that can create a bias. We try to put it in as natural way as a student would want it to take a decision.
Got it. So your focus is mainly on helping them make a decision rather than pushing a predefined outcome that aligns with sort of
Correct. And a lot of new counselors or the new age counselors are also liking this approach because students can discover if something is going wrong with just a couple of GPTs or perplexity prompts, right?
Correct.
The information is no more hidden.
Right.
So the biasness has to go away.
Right.
Earlier, some counselors were crippled because they didn't had products and technology access to give students a better experience. They were limited by the constraints of access, which our product and our platform has, opened it up for them. So even a counselor can assist the student no matter where they are in the remotest part of the world. They all just need is an internet connection. That's it.
So your platform is open for counselors who are not working for you directly also?
Correct.
How does it work?
So our business model is a B2B2C. We
Okay.
build student-centric product, give it in the hands of counselors and their students, so that the discovery to applications to financings and all of those can be done at their end only. We try to enable the SME. Our vision is India is not a land of conglomerates and corporates only. India is a huge, massive land of SMEs. Imagine the Bikaner, the Jodhpur, and many other remotest tier 3 or tier 2 places. There, not all, every quality study abroad consultants has found its way, but students wants to go. How do they discover? How do these small counselors can be given some wings to their business so that they can guide more students?
Got it. That makes a lot of sense because there is this obsession for startups to typically have a winner take all market, and that tendency tends to do more harm to local companies, local businesses, individual contributors than good, because they tend to sort of cannibalize them, right? But you are trying to empower them, and that way I think you would also have a long term win, right, in that sense.
Absolutely. We have a simple theory, and this is what we learned in study abroad also. Not a single company has ever become a leader in the market, and it has a natural psychological reason. Students depend on peer reviews, student depend on probably advertisement, student depends on outcomes and experiences, pricing. There are so many variables to it, and accessibility being one of the major variables, right? So it is a market where practitioners ideally should win, and our goal is to support and build good quantity and quality of practitioners in counseling or admissions domain, which can handhold the students as and where they need a human touch, so that the student outcomes can grow.
Got it. So let's talk about Visa Monk. Using AI to stimulate high stakes interviews is like very fascinating. So how did you really train it? Like, did you feed it like thousands of rejection stories, or and like how do you replicate the human unpredictability factor of the visa officer?
Okay. First disclaimer, it doesn't give you a prior success outcome only that using this you will get a success.
Right.
One of the major things that we wanted to solve in Visa Monk was practice and readiness. Okay. There are tons of content out there, but then it's about practicing and measuring the practice. When we started this, we started with probably an assumption of a hypothesis. Then we gave this tool to at least 20 to 100 students who got a visa reject. So they took more detailed usage of the product, and then they were able to graciously enough give more feedback to us, and then we spoke to a lot of platforms who used to capture visa outcomes. We gathered a lot of visa interview insights from social forums, public forums, gave enough insights to our AI to be trained.
Okay.
And then we started pilot. So it was a 2 years of very strong concentrated efforts before even we come out to the market for commercializing.
Okay.
And now every year 1500 to 2000 students take that product. So more people take interviews, the better the AI trains for.
Excellent. So the conversation is so interesting that we sort of extended our time. We overshot our time by a lot, but we were so happy to do it that we are probably going to cut this into 2 parts. So if you are at the end of part 1, please be rest assured we are still editing the rest of the video, and next week you will come back for the second part of this conversation. Nikhil, it was an absolute pleasure to have it, man. I mean,
Absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to contribute here. And thanks, Kshitij, for inviting me here.